can pick up on these resolution changes and things.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
You okay with that, Wayne?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was under the impression since you guys were hosting it that you were scribing it from my girls. So, right. So just to recap there on Bruce's points. So there was that change there around the govern, and just take that out completely and to advise.
Yep.
And then the establishment chair, the group, to reword that statement as agreed. Yeah. So everyone else is pretty happy with that. Right. Well, do I need to move that those changes be accepted?
No, I think you just say with those minor changes, Jock, is everybody happy? Can someone move the acceptance of those minutes?
So is anyone happy to move that? Thank you, Franz, and seconded by Cheryl. No, all against and no one against it. So apart from those two changes, are we happy with the minutes of the last meeting? Right, would you like to move that then, that we accept that it's a true account? Apart from those changes,
can't.
Tamer?
I'm happy with them, but I can't.
Yeah, you weren't present. Yeah. If you want to move it, Tamer, and who else was present?
I wasn't there, so I think if you just stick with Franz and Cheryl again.
Yeah, Franz.
I think so. Yeah.
Franz and Cheryl. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to item number 2, the draft statement of expectations.
Just, Jock, before we go on, I do have a couple of items of general business, so just look back at the end with me. It's only in relation to the last item anyway, okay?
Right. Do you want to get them off your chest now?
No. They will come naturally as after we deal with the last item. I just want to make sure I note that there are 2 or 3 items of general business I'd like to discuss.
Rightio.
Yep.
Very good. So yes, the draft statement of expectations. Has everybody had a bit of a read of them? Franz, you've got your hand up.
I'm a little bit confused. I see most of or all of the edits that Waiteki proposed, the councillors that were involved with that got in, but then I'm on page 12 and it says the following edits were not made, inclusion of the reference to revenue under part 5C. But if I go to attachment A and B, that revenue edit has been included. So while I've got the speaking staff, I think it should go in there. We're talking about a half-yearly report there where we disclose all costs and subsidies and whatever. I don't see any reason why revenue should not be included in that. The fact that it is not a requirement under the Local Government Water Services Act, my argument there would be, well, does the Water Services Act says we cannot include it if we're going to be open and transparent, and I think revenue should also be included in that report. But again, if I go to attachment A and B, that revenue is actually included there.
Right.
So, anybody want to throw some light on that one?
And Fiona, that one we did discuss. It was actually in the original, Franz, and the point was made that it wasn't a requirement, but we didn't choose to edit it out. So, in accordance with your wishes, it stayed in.
Okay. Could then be on mine. It was not my edit. It was one of my councillors who actually included or added it to it. So as long as that revenue is included in 5C, I will hold my peace.
You happy with that, Fiona? It's going to be anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll pick that up.
Yeah. Right.
Any further discussion? Because this has to be adopted by the 7th of August, doesn't it?
So the process from here is if the SRG are happy with this as a draft statement of expectations, it gets provided to Southern Waters formally for Southern Waters to comment on, comes back, and depending on what those comments are be considered at the next meeting at the 7th of August, and it can be finalised at that point.
I've got a couple of things, Jill.
Shoot away, Tamer.
Marvellous. I thought it looked actually pretty good, and so did Peter, recognising he's been involved in one of these before, and it was nothing as easy as this. But I just had a couple of notes. Under context and purpose, down the bottom it says this SOE sets out expectations in 4 areas, and then there's only 3 areas listed below. If we could just
Okay.
type that, I'm guessing it should be 3 areas.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought the under 3 strategic goals and outcomes, I thought those 3 were really appropriate for the initial phase. Under I just had a question, and you might have covered this off last time I wasn't at the last meeting, when we're talking about the significance and engagement policy, and we talk about it once in 8.1, where we're talking about acting in accordance with any relevant statutory obligation, and then again at the bottom of the page 9.2b, Southern Waters will engage on significant issues or in line with its significant and engagement policy. Is that policy just going to sit alongside as a Southern Waters separate document, Fiona or Bruce?
Yeah, it'll be a separate document that's developed up, a policy for Southern Waters.
Cool. And I guess it will have some sort of alignment to Council's significance and engagement, recognising all of us have different ones, but they will comply with the Act.
Yeah. So as we're developing that, we'll consult with groups like the SRG on that policy.
Perfect. Environmental stewardship 9.3. I'm not 100% sure, and this is not my wheelhouse, but when we're talking about mahinga kai, I wonder if it should be mahika to tie in with the K spelling for the Southern Runaka. Do you know, Pete?
Oh yeah, I see it's spelled a couple of ways, but you're, I mean, this way, and then obviously Ngāi Tahu have their own sort of dialect, don't they? They replace the H with the K.
Just because this statement is specific to the Southern Runaka, it might be a K, but maybe if we could just check that one. And then there's one spelling error in 9.7b with does not have an E on the end, and that were the only other things I found. Other than that, excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
I put it all with Ed Ellison, Tamer. You'd be interested to know that he disagrees with the Southern Runaka spelling, and he thinks it was a slip of the language. So within the different Runanga and Runaka, there is a disagreement. So I find that quite amusing. So in my general view, we can probably spell it as we choose, but I do agree we should probably adopt protocol.
Perfect. Yeah. That just makes it super easy, doesn't it, Bruce? It just really depends on which Runaka you're talking to.
Exactly.
Excuse me for a second. What's this for?
Just been doing.
Hey, thanks, Tamer, for your eye for detail. Lovely. Any further discussion? Mia Bell, got any feedback?
All happy on this end, thank you.
All right on that end.
I just had one further thing to add, if that's all right, Mr. Chair.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you. Just a real hats off to you, Fiona and Bruce. I think that this document could be read and understood by any member of our public, which is awesome because they are very interested in what's happening with Southern Waters. And when we talk about safe, reliable water services and affordability, it's written in a language that's easy to comprehend. So hats off to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamer. Well, I would love to take all the credit for this, but I'm actually going to pass that to Fiona and the team. They did a fabulous job.
Yeah, Fraser was a big contributor to this document as well.
Fantastic. Oh, well, we have some recommendations there. Would someone like to move that we accept? We can probably take them all together. Recommendations 1 and 2. Moved Mayor Tamer, seconded Mayor Ben. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Agreed.
Aye.
Carried. Right. On to our next agenda item. Number 3. The Stakeholders Representative Group Selection Panel. So I've got a note here. We've got some staff going to introduce this report.
Do you want us to just briefly speak to it, Jock, for you?
That would be lovely. Thank you, Fiona.
Yeah. So the discussions at the last meeting, the SRG agreed that they'd set up a panel to assist with the selection for additional directors and for the rural water representative. And to do that, it does trigger some requirements under the Local Government Act. So need to set this up as a separate committee that has a terms of reference and has, has those sort of processes around it. So this document provides that terms of reference, gives the delegations to the panel so that they can do the work that we want them to do, that you want them to do, and then also provides that because this is a reserved matter, it provides that the final decision needs to come back to the SRG for them to agree on, or for them to appoint who those directors and the rural water representative would be.
Thank you for that, Fiona. Any questions for Fiona?
Yeah, maybe I got this wrong, but just a point of order. I'm nominated as one of those panel members, and so is Mayor Tama and Councillor Roger and Councillor Neville. So where does this fit in declaration of interest? Because I don't think we can vote for ourselves, and then that leaves the question about a quorum. So maybe I'm raising something that I shouldn't have, or I've got totally wrong. That's fine, but maybe somebody can just clarify it so I can sleep well tonight.
I don't think there's and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Executives, I wouldn't imagine there is a conflict. You can appoint yourself to a panel if you want. It's not to say that, I mean, you're not applying for the directorship, so you're not going to be ahead, and we've all got one selection each as well. So in some ways we'd all be conflicted.
Thanks for clarifying that, Ben.
I think there's a difference between nomination and an election process. Where you're voting on an election process, that's not the case.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just recently we appointed a committee as far as for the district plan, and those councillors that were appointed to that, wasn't an election, they actually excused themselves just to make sure there was no conflict of interest. Hence, I got the idea and I thought I'd better raise it.
Very good. Any
Jock, I've got a few little items for the resolutions. I'd just like to get correctly worded so that the discussion can flow, because so that they reflect the previous minutes. That's why I was a little bit surgical anal, if you like, on the previous minutes, so that we can get this in order. So in the resolutions, the recommendations, on the second page of the discussion point, item C, it says agree the panel will I've changed comprise to include because the panel also includes myself. If you read the previous minutes, so the
That's
panel
right.
will include the following 4 members. And then if you go down to item E, I'd suggest we reword that to say, note, the establishment chair of Southern Waters will, 1, be a member of the selection panel for the appointment of directors, and 2, act in an advisory capacity for the rural water representative appointment. Because that is the nature of the previous resolution in the last meeting.
Can you say that just a little slower to make sure I've got it, please?
Okay, so item E, note the establishment chair of Southern Waters will, so remove the advisory role of and remove including that they, and then 1, remove participate in and put be a member of the selection panel for the appointment of directors, full stop, and 2, leave it as it is, act in an advisory capacity.
Cool, thank you.
Steve?
Yeah, and I think just looking at it, obviously there just needs to be a renumbering on the report so we get the right ABCs, etc. But that's an editing function.
Yeah, I'll fix that once the meeting's complete.
Oh, yeah, we'll kick off with a C before the A. Thanks, Steve. Another I for detail.
And then on the terms of reference, Jock,
Page number
32. So attachment A was terms of reference 31 and 32. On 32, item 6. I think we'll just put, it says the establishment chair of Southern Waters will work collaboratively. It says with the panel, it's actually work collaboratively as a member of the selection panel on the director appointments.
Mm-hmm.
And then participate in the rural representative appointment process in an advisory capacity. So leave that as it is. It's just that first bullet point.
Yeah.
Other than that, I thought the terms of reference was pretty good.
Other than numbering problems again, but we'll fix that.
Yeah. So any discussion on what Bruce has just proposed in? It does read a lot better with that edit. Payment.
Yeah, that I'd highlighted that as well, that it wasn't that clear what the role of the establishment chair is, and it's as per the resolution as part of the panel. So I think those amendments more accurately reflect that the establishment chair is part of the panel, not just a kind of sideliner to the panel. So helpful and happy with those.
Any further discussion? No discussion around the Southern Waters Director Skills Matrix? Page 34.
I did just have one around the IT requirement and needing at least one director to have IT background. Are we confident that we're going to be able to find someone with it? I recognise it's quite a rare talent, and probably trying to understand local government systems and technology might be an even more advanced skill to find.
Talk to this one because I did discuss this with Louise Green quite extensively, Ben. The person I think we're looking for here is not necessarily capable in a local or central government capacity, but more a greater appreciation and exposure to emerging tech, because our operating model promotes and proposes quite an appreciation and reliance on emerging tech and changing technology. So we are keen to set the business up in a manner which promotes what the future may look like, not what currently exists. Now, to do that, I think from a governance perspective, it would be important we have somebody on the board that at least has exposure to emerging tech in some way. But that I appreciate they may not come from an environment where they've got local body expertise, but we're looking for somebody who operates in that area. Now, I know that's not going to be easy, and it may end up being an issue that we have a conversation with the SRG in the end about whether or not we were able to find a suitable candidate. But it is important. That's kind of how we discussed it, wasn't it, Fiona?
Thank you for that. That's really helpful. I guess if push comes to shove, I think IOD do some good courses on AI and the future of AI as well. So that could be a good option too if we can't find the right person. But thanks,
Yeah.
that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Bruce, when you were working with Sheffield, Louise, and that there, like, so it was quite good. You had good experience working through this.
Yeah, and look, I've known Louise for a long time, and she was right in the middle of the Queenstown selection process when we were discussing it. And so she was kind of relying on that experience as well. I may not necessarily agree with who was selected there, but I understand the process will flush out the sort of people we're looking for. Jock, so I was pretty comfortable with that. You know, and she's a good operator, and their team is as well. They're across, and they're doing a bit in this area already.
Right. So, any further? Well, we've had a few questions. Discussion? Any discussion? If there's no further discussion, well, we've got recommendations there. Would someone like to move that we receive the report? Thank you, Ben. Seconded by Tamer. All those in favour? Carried. Right, the second recommendation, including then, yeah, we'll have to include those alterations that Bruce has just spoken about. Well, we'll have to, and the typos that Steve's pointed out, numbering.
Yep.
But,
I would just say couch it in the accepting the minor edits and proposed changes. Is everyone comfortable?
Everyone's comfortable with that, aren't they?
Yep.
So would someone like, we'll take all the two recommendations, the stakeholders representative group. Someone like to move that we accept all those? Tamer. Seconded by Ben. All those in favour? Carried. Right. We'll move on to item number 4, page 36, our rural water representative selection pair. No, we've just done that, sorry. Item number 5, page 41. So, yeah, no, I don't know. Has anyone heard back since we sent the letter?
I think we are still on 4, aren't we, Jock?
Pardon?
I think we are still on 4, aren't we?
4.
We've done the directors and now we do the rural rep separately.
Oh,
Yeah, there is 2 papers covering these things.
Yeah.
Hang on, where are we here?
Page 36, Jock.
Sorry, yes, sorry. 36.
just tidies up that appointment process for the rural rep to SRG.
So everybody's had a good read of the recommendations.
Look, I'm going to admit that I haven't had, I wasn't involved in the conversations associated with the skills matrix. So therefore, if I was you guys, I'd be looking at that thinking, is that what we're looking for in a rural rep? I think, in my view, I think it is, but remember, they're going to be joining this group. So that's why I'd be having that conversation.
That was my question too, and given that I have zero experience with that, it was probably a question for Franz or Jock and maybe Ben. Is that going to cover the skills we need in a rural rep?
I'm happy to give a comment on it, Taima and everyone else. I think a lot will come out of the actual evaluation. The criteria is great, it's good, but a lot will depend on the person. Because I have colleague councillors, particularly one who is very, very knowledgeable about rural water, but oh boy, when he starts talking, we're going back 20, 30 years, and we really need somebody there that sees the future and understands the government legislation that is applicable now to us, not 20 or 30 years ago. So to me, the criteria is great. Happy to run with that, but it's definitely going to depend on the person itself.
The key here will be, guys, and this is a bit of advice, will be recognising that it's a familiarity and a representation. It's not a governance role, Franz. So what you're really looking for is that wide body of knowledge and someone that can just say, I am making sure that rural water has a voice in the expectations of the shareholder. Because again, remember on the skills matrix for the directors, we've also got a essential rural water expectation, which we would probably be inclined to go deeper on in that respect, Franz.
Yeah, take that on board, Bruce.
Yeah.
The danger is to get somebody who is really still stuck in the past and who cannot accept that the scales have changed. When I talk to people that come to me and said, but there's nothing wrong with my water. Well, the water parameters in terms of quality and conditions they have to comply with, they are here, and your water is there, and now that has been over here, and this has to be accepted. And that's what I mean is we definitely need somebody with a lot of experience about rural water, but also somebody that can recognize that the parameters have changed and we have to abide with it. We cannot have somebody that says, we've done this for 20 years, we've done this for 50 years, and nobody has died. Therefore, why should we accept it? That is the concern I have, and that will come out of the actual selection process.
I think, for me personally, that's very well summarised in their first bullet point there in the skills matrix. You know, a sound understanding of the importance of a safe, reliable water delivery service in a changing rural environment. You know, like we're all well aware that our landscapes are changing with diversification and so forth. So that pretty much summarises it. The second bullet point, very good summary. Well, we could end up writing a thesis if we wanted to, but it's just an overall summary, and I think they've captured it quite well myself. I'm quite happy with it. Alex?
Yeah, if you wanted to add something to it, you could do something under that understanding rural water delivery. So on that first line, sound understanding of the legislation surrounding rural water and the importance of safe, reliable water supply, if you wanted to tighten it up, just so that it is part of your selection criteria rather than just looking for it through the selection process, and that would just tighten it up a bit.
But in the same breath, there is no actual legislation around rural water, is there? CEs? Please help here.
Well, the rural water is covered by the legislation. There's also, I guess, if you're being picky, there's regulations as well from Tomato ROI, so such as acceptable solutions and things like that, that fit in within the legislation.
Here is, isn't it, Alex, to find somebody that from the rural regions that is across the changes that are occurring in the water and waste sector, so they're up to date funds. That's what, and how it impacts potentially on the rural schemes. That's what we're looking for. We're certainly not looking for someone that's going to stick their head in the sand and try and drag us backwards.
Yep, the matrix is fine. I got absolutely no problem. I think it's a very good matrix.
Yep.
But with everything that is on paper, in the end, it comes down to actually finding the person that also believes in the matrix. Let's put it that way, and stands behind it.
When we go to market for this person funds, I'm sure that you might be able to have a conversation with a few people saying, why don't you put your hands up to make an application, because you might be the sort of people we're looking for. It doesn't give them a guarantee of a role, but it might get them in the process, you know.
Yep.
Yes, you pretty well summarised that pretty good there, Bruce. As always, we're always open to opinions, but whether we choose to listen to them or not's another thing. So
yeah.
Any further discussion, questions? If that's the case, we've got a couple of recommendations there. One to receive, we could probably take both these together, could we not? These recommendations, if someone would like to move that. Move Mayor Tamer, seconded Mayor Ben. All those in favour? Carried. Right. Item number 5, this time. Yeah, so we've got any update? I haven't received any information back from the letter that was sent out. Have you heard anything, Bruce?
But I'm not surprised as to that we haven't, Jock. We have extended the opportunity. We have invited the participation. If we do get the opportunity to deal with mana whenua at any stage, we'll bring them into the process, would be my view. Take a pragmatic view, but I haven't heard. Maybe even it just simply it might be require a bit of a follow-up call to Justin, maybe, Jock. That might be about as much as you don't want to be seen to be nagging them, but a follow-up call might be all we might make that. We might make that.
Mm-hmm. There's not a lot, no further discussion.
Right. It's just a note.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of recommendations there. We'll take them both together. Someone want to move? Move France, seconded Taylor. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Right. Item number 6. Progress report. Update. There's a bit of work going on here, team.
So, I'll make a few introductory comments. So when we were in our previous sort of structure where we had our the KEG meetings, one of the things that we did was provided a verbal update on what was happening in the program and the progress and things that we were making. And now that we've changed over to this SRG format, we've taken the step to formalise the reporting that we would provide up to the SRG. and to give you a status update on the program, and just so that the SRG can see, particularly while we're in this establishment phase, just get a good understanding and line of sight to the work that's happening within the program and the progress that's being made. So it gives you this report is to give you a bit of a status update. It does show you that overall the program is on track. It also gives you some updates just to show that the entity itself of Southern Waters has been established. Obviously, there's a lot of work, including the discussions in this meeting on the governance structures that are being put in place. We've got the SRGs obviously up and running. We know the director recruitment is progressing along with the appointment of the additional SRG members. We know from our discussions earlier in the meeting that the statement of expectations is well progressed. And it just gives an update on some of the activity that's happening inside the program, such as the work that we've commenced on asset valuations, working to develop financial models that we need for the new entity, and the work that we need to do to allow Southern Waters to seek funding through the Local Government Funding Association. All those things are progressing well. And it also just highlights that we have now commenced another significant piece of work, which is the development of the operating model for Southern Waters, and that will be, quite informative in terms of what the overall organisation looks like and the decisions that we make there. So it gives you also a look ahead at the things that the program will be focusing on over the coming period. And we provide this for noting, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the SRG might have.
Questions for Fiona, please. I'll kick the ball off, Fiona. So you've been out and about a few councils and you mentioned looking at valuing assets and so forth. Have the council staff been helpful, good to work with?
Council staff have been very welcoming and have been very open in sharing information with us. There is obviously an incredible amount of information that you need to set up a new entity, and there's at times there's a big ask from Southern Waters in terms of the information inputs that we might require from those council entities. We're really trying to work collaboratively with each of those councils because we understand there's a lot going on. Just generally in all of those council areas, and just to make sure that we get the information that we need to keep progressing the establishment of Southern Waters. But I can't speak highly enough of the corporation really, and the engagement we're getting from the staff within the councils. It's been very good.
Oh, that's great. That's really good news. That's really good news. What about any anxiety? I do feel it in patches from some of the staff, even though that's what you're not there for, but about job securities and so forth.
There obviously that's a question that we get from staff, and so we have been providing them with information on timeframes and when they can expect to get answers on what that future organisation would look like, but also importantly that we want them to be involved in helping us design the new organisation.
Oh, great. Tamer.
I think Franz might have been ahead of me, and he might have the same question if you want to go to Franz first.
It's not so much as a question as rather a comment. Thanks for Fiona and Bruce for the visit yesterday. I think that is great. Just from our side, and particularly around staff, the sense that I get is staff is really looking towards cooperation with Southern Waters in their thinking and their planning, as in come the 1st of July next year, things are going to be different. How does actions that they take now will fit in that overall picture? Don't fill in all the questions, but I really get the feeling that staff is behind Waitaki joining Southern Waters and corporate union. I have no doubt that that will continue. So I think that level of cooperation and collaboration is just great. If for some reason change, which I do not expect, then obviously let us know. But yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job, and handing that to our staff is the way to go.
Thank you, Franz. We and even we've been in Oamaru this week, and one of the sessions was talking with the staff yesterday. But we had a lot of very good questions from the staff there.
Did you bring home some spare buckets?
Spare
Only
buckets.
one. Only ones with holes in them. Thank you, Jock.
No buckets required. I thought this was an excellent report, clear, concise. I don't think it needs to have a huge amount of time spent on it and be 40 pages, because I think you've got other things that you need to be working on. So this is a great format. In the key milestones, there's just a couple of target dates that will be approaching very quickly. One for the local government funding agency accession, and the other one for the Go Live plan endorsed. Is there anything on the horizon with either of those two that might jeopardise that target date that we need to know about or assist with in the meantime?
Nothing at this stage. So one of the key, particularly of the LGFA accession process, one of the key tasks for that, things that to keep us on track for that, was the approval of the Waitaki Water Services Delivery Plan, and that was announced yesterday that has been approved. So that process is on track at this stage.
Thank you.
Bruce.
Just going to add a little bit of context and colour to 2 points. Yesterday we had a very good session with Alex and Franz around just the pragmatic conversations that are likely to develop between Southern Waters and the councils. And in reality, where it's all going to get a little bit warm for us is in the conversation about the impact on the customer, who is obviously a ratepayer. And so there was a general conversation and agreement that we will work up a joint comms plan with the councils and with us about who we are, what we are, and what we represent, and what that engagement might look like from around about the end of the year. I think we discussed, Alex, to try and make sure that the 6 months running into the start date for the company, everybody is going to understand exactly what the impact is likely to be on them from our establishment. And so that's going to be a little bit of work that will come to SRG and a concentration, I think, too, Jock, because that's going to be important to you guys, okay? And the other one is that it was clear yesterday when we were in Oamaru that staff were more than curious about the operating model that we were intending to establish, which is a build the company first and then lift people into it model, rather than, because it's the only way you can do it when you're doing an amalgamation. And when I say curious, they were a little bit. There was a little bit of anxiety, Jock, and I'm sure, and you guys are going to see that around the business. And while we can't give any guarantees of roles, Fiona, we can give some level of comfort around the fact that we know that water staff and the IP they hold and the roles they hold will be extremely valuable to our company. So those people that work in water should take some comfort from the fact that we see them as extremely valuable. Mm. Okay, so, and I think that gave them a little bit of comfort. It's not as if there's going to be a wholesale clean out here. It is not. We're going to build this organisation for the future and put people in the roles that we require of them. But in reality, a lot of the knowledge and the way in which things are done is contained within the existing council organisations, and we see those people as important. Okay.
Oh, most certainly, I agree 100%, Bruce. Their assets sitting under our noses. So, but it's just another one of your guys or Fiona's role to identify those assets. So, Steve.
Just following on from that, it's a bit of a two-stage process. We've found when we first had the team in, the message wasn't well received because the staff had come off the previous government's job guarantee NTU approach, and there was an expectation of job guarantees. So the first time we got the message, it wasn't particularly well received for it. And then we followed that up with a recent one, Fiona, didn't you, in terms of going to the other councils and our council. And we were able to further explain the principles that, Bruce, you're mentioning and Fiona has put in place around, why we were going down the pathway we were, and getting that operating model first. And I felt that staff meeting, that was much better received. And I think we're on the right pathway around addressing those sort of staff concerns. So it didn't happen on day one, but I think we're moving into the right space. Well, certainly for our organisation, I think that was a pretty reasonably successful meeting we had on that subject. So again, as long as we are continuing to deliver and make progress towards that, the operating model and those decisions as we discussed, I think certainly from our staff side of things, I think we can keep a handle on that.
Ben, how are your staff coping down there?
Yeah, we're kind of similar. There is a little bit of unease, but I know that my senior management team's been quite good at trying to calm that down. I think we talked about it, didn't we, Fiona, when we were doing the statement of expectations work around it. They just need regular and frequent reminding of that they're not big, scary people trying to take away your jobs, that it will all be okay. It will just be a bit of change. I mean, people are just scared of change. We recognise that. And with amalgamation going on in the background, there's just a whole lot of uncertainty. So I don't think it's really directed at Waters per se. It's just making sure that we're making regular contact with our teams and assuring them of what's happening in the background.
Cool. You guys are right up there, Peter?
Yeah, look, all the same. I think that'll be a constant thing that the Fiona and the team will sort of encounter, because human nature is, with change and on incomes and all that sort of stuff, just the doubt that can be there, that can only be brought about by certainty. And at the moment, we don't have the certainty. But over time, we will get into that place. So, yeah, there is just angst across the water space, I would have thought, at general rule.
Oh, lovely. I love the program status update that you've given us, Fiona. It's really cool. There's a bit good, so encouraging to see everything on track. And they got the government funding one in September, October. There's a bit of heat on you at the moment, and is tracking along good. So it's really encouraging. Really encouraging. Any further discussion or questions for the team? Well, we've got a couple of recommendations there. I think we could take both of them at once. If someone would like to move Mayor Tamer, seconded Mayor Ben, all those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you, Fiona. And then, last but not least, just any updates?
I have general business as well. Jock, you're not running away on me yet.
Didn't see it on my agenda.
I think I might have mentioned it right at the beginning there, Jock.
Well, actually, we should possibly move into the general now, and we'll save the updates.
Really, look, they're really simple, Jock. We have, because I have spoken to Louise and engaged in the process with the directors, they have provided, and this, I'm really doing the business of the selection panel here, but I'd like to circulate and get moving. They have provided an ad that Fiona and I have commented on, and they have provided a advertising schedule which runs to some $3,500. I'd like to circulate those to the members of the selection panel for their response, and if there is no response, I'd like to get them in the market, if that's okay. All right, so we are doing a little bit of selection panel work here, but while I've got you, I'd like to actually just get that moving. And then I will come back to those members with some suggested dates for meeting and convening. I know I'm not the chair, but I am convening it to start with, and we can do that in that first meeting, do the work of the selection panel. So you guys, those of you that are on the selection panel, okay with that process to start with? And those will come out from Fiona, the invoice for approval and the ad. Is that okay, Fee?
What sort of a timeline are you talking, Bruce?
Well, we will actually promote their timeline as well. We've got their proposal timeline as well, haven't we, Fiona? So, but I do need to loop back because I know Louise is away for a month, but I think her offsite of Kennedy will be running the process. So while she's away, I'd like the ad to be soaking, if you know what I mean, in the marketplace so they can accumulate the applicants is kind of what I'm trying to do here. Otherwise, we'll lose a month.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, we've still got the momentum going at the moment, so we might as well jump on it and keep it going.
Yeah. Okay, so the only you'll get the 2 ads, and then I'll promote an early calendar date. Hopefully next week. Hope's not a strategy, but I'm kind of looking at Tamer and you, Franz, and others, and if there's some time next week, I'll promote some times. Okay.
If I may, Jock, just for information, I am going to go outside the country from the 9th of July until the 17th. Other than that, so we do have next week still, if you like, right up till Thursday. But I thought I'd just pass those dates on to you. Happy to try to fit it in any of the other commitments. So I just put those dates in the agenda because I'll be overseas and divorces are too expensive, if you know what I mean.
Just on that note, Bruce, I know Roger's out of the country at the moment, but that's part of the conversation I had with Roger. I said at any point where he wasn't available, I'm more than happy to sit in his seat. So if you go ahead and circulate the information, I dare say he'll reach out to me if required. So
thank you.
Just so well, it's an important part. We need to keep the momentum going. So
that would be great. Yep.
Yeah. Did you have anything else under general?
That's all I had.
Wayne, you'll capture that, please.
I have, yeah.
Thank you. Updates from members. Any updates? No updates. I appreciate the pressure that Franz and Alex are under up there. These guys have been having a hell of a ride, so. But I'm sure things must settle down.
It's already been mentioned. We had our water service delivery plan approved, and Alex might want to speak more to it. But for me, it is a good achievement, something to build on. It also means the end of the involvement of our facilitator, Amy Adams, and I think that is just another tick in the box for us, and we'll just keep moving ahead. Yes, we have a lot on our plate, as everybody has in this group, but we're getting there. We're trying to cope as best as we can. So not going away in a hurry anywhere. So stay tuned.
Just probably on that, a thought that popped into my mind, and I know that it's still very early considering we've just done annual plans 2 days ago. But just starting to think about and prepare for the rates increase in a year's time. Obviously, the 4 councils, what's left, our rate increase is probably going to be pretty low, especially considering we're the 3 highest in the country. Thanks, Central Otago, for not joining the team on that one. But I'm just watching a lot of the feedback, and Bruce will probably be quite aware of this in Selwyn, having a relatively low council increase, but a very high water increase, and how feel the community's got over that. So I mean, that's all part of it, but just preparing for that and how we support the water entity rather than just going, well, your rates are fine, so take that up with the water entity, basically.
Yeah.
Ben, hence my comment around the fact that we're going to start a pretty intensive interrogation and communication program together with each council, to the extent that we really want to understand what impact it has on different user groups. You know,
Yeah.
the reality of it is that your phone will probably ring as much as our phone will ring when the bills start going out. So we want to be really prepared for it, right?
Oh, there's nothing sure. You know, like I've got a good counsellor that could give you plenty of advice on that. Bruce, if you'd like moving forward, although that's one's going to be less, but the other, there's still the same amount of money that the ratepayers are going to be faced with, just two different identities. So, and it sounds like you're well over it, Bruce. So, well done, good on you, and please keep those comms up. It's something that each individual council is going to have to deal with individually. So you'll get 4 different flavours, Bruce. So you get plenty to go on.
Well, we made an executive decision yesterday that the face of the company, the face we're going to put on the billboards is not mine, it's Fiona's.
Howard. Look, I did mention this to Bruce. A very simplistic view. We all now that we've gone out with a 17% rates increase, but that's rate increases right across the board, including water. And I have no idea where Central Otago is or any of the others, but it obviously not 17%. So there is going to be a difference there that's got to be looked at come the 1st of July next year. And I'm just flagging it. It's just something that's got to be looked at, because although, yes, rates are going to go down next year, but the water charge is still there. And I keep saying and looking at what is the sum of the two and how is that going to affect our community. So I don't envy your task, Fiona and Bruce, but I do emphasize that is something you have to look at. Fortunately, I believe you've got a longer time frame to look at that rather than have it there ready just for the 1st of July 2027. And please keep in mind there is kids and grandkids still to come after us.
Alex.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add a clarity on that. When we reduced our rate rise, it was across other council services. So our water charges, as part of that 17% of it, are actually going up 43% next year. And you know that's a big amount within water, but it's making up for a shortfall that was in the water charges there. But I think some of this is in the communications that we need to do over the next few months. So whilst we've been communicating that water charges will be going up and they need to go up to pay for the higher standards and also for our aging infrastructure, I know it will come as a surprise to sections of our community when those charges do go up. But yeah, we need to keep on communicating that. And we know that obviously the Taxpayers Union will be keeping an eye and doing rankings of all of us in terms of what the consolidated increase looks like across our rates and our water charges.
Hey, man, you guys all good in Central?
Yes, we are looking pretty good this year. But I have noticed that Taxpayers Union has also started adding water and rates together and coming up with 59 for Upper Hutt. So ideally we won't have any councils in that position next year, but I guess that'll be a work in progress over the next 12 months or so.
Steve, have you got anything you want to add for the CDC?
Nope.
No. Cheryl, you're all good? You're on
No,
silent.
all good. All good.
You're-
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, I forgot what you sounded like. I just asked you the question so I could hear your voice.
You don't really want to hear it, believe me.
Well, if there's no further discussion, we will declare the meeting closed, and we'd no doubt, when is our next catch up? We haven't got it scheduled yet, but I dare say Julie and Anna will be in touch. So nothing further to add. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.